bring in our next guest. Ron Bonjean served as communications director for former House Speaker Dennis Astor. Marianne Marsh, former senior advisor to Senator John Kerry. Good to see you both. Ron, let me start with you, Ron, because Senator Schumer was absolutely giddy this weekend when he said, "Are you kidding? This is great. You guys, you Republicans, are now giving us a second chance to make a first impression." And maybe he's got a point there. Aren't you allowing the Democrats, by virtue of this debate now over health care, to bring up all the good things that the polls show Americans like extending coverage for children, no lifetime caps, and coverage for pre-existing conditions where they didn't have it before? Might this backfire on Republicans?
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of Americans out there are pretty nervous about what's in the health care bill, and that's part of the reason why House Republicans got elected to the majority, to slow down the expansion of government. And I would look at a real poll out there, which is how many companies and associations and unions have asked for waivers from the health care bill, like McDonald's. AARP is receiving exemptions. A lot of these companies and associations are very nervous about the impact health care is going to have on them. So Republicans are right to try to slow this down and see what's really in the bill.
Marianne, I want to put up on the screen the latest Rasmussen poll on the issue of health care. 75%. Look at that. You got to add up the top three numbers. 75% want the new law changed, either repealed entirely, replaced with something better, or the unpopular parts removed. The bottom number, look at that, a scant 18% like the law the way it is. And here's what New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat, said yesterday. Take a listen.
The bill's not perfect. It never has been. For example, after the bill was written, a lot of our small businesses came to me and said, there's a lot of paperwork I now have to fill out. There's too many paperworks. Every time I spend X number of dollars, I have to fill out a form. We can change that. That's something we can absolutely agree on. But talking about repealing the whole piece of legislation, well, let's break it apart.
It's not perfect. Let's break it apart. Clyburn said today on our air, you got to fix it. Boy, when those folks in your own party are saying that about your signature achievement, it's kind of embarrassing, isn't it?
No, I mean, the fact is, people are far more... Here's the dirty little secret, and it was in Carl's piece. Everybody knows this repeal isn't going to pass. It's not going to. So why is everybody spending time on it when far more people, even more people than those who want the health care reform changed, are more worried about the fact they don't have a job? So this is more about making a point in political theater than it is fixing a problem.
If you want to fix the question, 75% want it changed. Only 18% like it, Marianne? My goodness.
Right.
What do you do with that?
But the fact is, if you don't have a job, you don't have health care. So again, if you really want to fix it, you should do these individual pieces that everyone can agree should be improved. Right. In the meantime, what everyone should be focused on is getting millions of people back to work. And I think that's where voters get frustrated. There's no question a lot of Republicans voted for a lot of Republicans a couple months ago over health care reform. That was one of their biggest concerns. But the vast majority of Americans and voters are far more concerned about the fact they don't have a job, let alone health care.
Ron, does your party have a viable alternative?
Well, let me just say this first. You can't grow jobs unless you encourage businesses to have the right conditions to hire people. And when you have unfunded mandates on the states and you have corporations like McDonald's saying, hey, we can't provide health care for people with this type of bill, that's a very scary situation.
I heard you on that the first time. Do you guys have a viable alternative? Does the Republican Party have an alternative?
Well, I think what Republicans are going to do here is they're going to look at the regulations, the regulatory process during this health care reform bill, and I think during that piece and that point in time, you're going to see some replacement parts come out. But we're going to really look at how the bill is going to be put in the regulatory process. That's where the real battle is going to be, and I think that's a real funding level.
Ron Bonjean, Marianne Marsh, good to see you both. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
And a hot report, Greg, coming to us, listen to this, from FoxSports.com, saying that Brett Favre, NFL quarterback Brett Favre, has filed his retirement paperwork.